Welcome everyone to Awesome Truth, a wrestling book club. I'm your host, Steve Semino, and with me as always is my co-host, Walt Schwenk. Hey, Walters.
Hello, Steven. How's it going?
My friend, it is going very well. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Awesome Truth. It's time for another watch-along, Walt. We are in the month of April, which, of course, everyone knows is Backlash Month. It's always been Backlash Month. Everyone loves Backlash. The fans can't get enough of Backlash. So, to celebrate this upcoming pay-per-view that is no way related to these other Backlashes and actually has a little weight to it, but we're going back to the old days of Backlash, to when it really didn't matter, to when it was sort of just a rehashing of Mania feuds and the like. And I will say, well, as we were deciding on what to cover this month, it was difficult because, as I'm hinting at, there's not a lot of really good matches in April that we can return to.
Yeah, it's funny. There's 17 seasons, quote unquote, seasons of Backlash on Peacock, and I can
Why can't Peacock just fix that and make it better for them? It's so weird that they always have that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one could argue that maybe it went away and maybe it came back, so you have to you can't really categorize. I mean, I guess you could categorize by year. All I know is that, in spirit, we all know that the pay-per-view or major event after WrestleMania is a Backlash. Whether you call it Backlash or not, we all know it's a you can't see the air quotes, backlash to the WrestleMania feuds, which effectively is what it really is saying and translating for people who don't understand what I'm actually trying to say is we're just retreading water here.
Yeah, it's not always even exactly that, that's the idea, that in theory is what it's going for, but if you look at the cards year to year, sometimes it's just like the one time it was Reigns versus Cesaro a few years ago, last year, 2 years ago, that wasn't a backlash of anything. That was just a Cesaro match, which, not complaining, good for Cesaro, got a title match, but nothing to do with Mania. It either is a Mania response show, an aftermath show, or it's not whatsoever, and they throw that out the window. So there's no consistency there, which sort of lends to, I think, why it's just sort of a throwaway pay-per-view. The year is starting up again. Usually it's the feud after Mania is rarely one that really matters. So when we were looking through, trying to figure out what to do, not a lot of really good options. We talked about Randy Orton versus Cactus Jack at Backlash, which apparently is a good hardcore match. And, Orton's coming at one of his, I think Legend Killer Orton just beating the shit out of Foley. But we just did TLC, we don't want to just go to just garbage-filled spot fests with chairs and shit over and over again, right?
There's plenty of ECW catalog plenty of seasons of ECW on Peacock we could navigate.
So what we decided upon was a Backlash 2007, which is a year I am so removed from. I have very little knowledge of it, but I'm catching up on it, and we're doing a match. I've never seen this match, Walt. Have you seen this match before?
The four-way? Absolutely not.
You have not. Okay, so we're both going in totally clean. It's John Cena, Randy Orton, Edge, and Shawn Michaels in a fatal four-way for the WWE Championship. And we'll give context as we start the match, Walt, but it's it's supposed to be a very good match. I believe it was on a random website, it was the second best backlash. The second best backlash. I can't say this.
We're keeping all this in, by the way.
The second best Backlash match ever. That's a tough thing to say, though, right? That was hard.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of B's.
Highly regarded match in Backlash history. So I don't know if that matters at all, but I guess we're going to find out.
Do we know what number one is? Is it the Cactus Jack?
I believe number one was Orton versus Cactus Jack. At least, again, this was WrestleTalk.com or some weirdo's blog. So it means as much as you and I saying it. It's just some scrub on the internet.
Somehow they have less credibility than we do. So.
Yeah, it's true. But what's the time code for this one on 2000? That's on the 2007 Backlash.
It is 2 hours, 6 minutes, 50. We'll say all 51 seconds.
Okay, so if you want to watch, pause your episode, get set up, and we are going to hit play in a few minutes. Any final thoughts before we get started, Walt?
Okay, to talk about Shawn Michaels as a wrestler.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
We've talked about him in retrospect a lot, but I don't know if we've never watched a Michaels match before live on the show. So here we go, your boy.
We've only done so many watch-alongs, so
that's true.
But it is a miracle that we waited this long to even do that.
I know. Well, here we go. So there we go. 2:06:51. We're gonna hit play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Play. Now, remind me, Walt, a fatal 4-way in WWE, does that mean elimination or does that mean first pinfall
It's probably
wins?
one fall.
All right, there's our boy Justin Roberts. Look at him. Remember Justin Roberts?
Sorry,
Remember his terrible book in the archives at
awesometruth.lipsyn.com? I'm forgetting you don't watch these along with actual audio. Because Justin Roberts didn't explain everything you just asked.
I'm going to put the captions on right now so I at least can hear what JR and the King are saying.
Is it JR and King?
I believe so, because I was looking before and it seemed like they were sitting there talking, so. Oh,
okay.
Well, there's HBK. Wearing his cross-heavy, dangly top thing, which is an interesting look.
We just accept it, you know?
He really does have the great. I mean, I love his attire, but it is in any other context or in a vacuum, it's so weird and odd.
It's funny because like this is like a point of his career where it's like no one would ever question him being in the main event of a title match, but no one ever really expected him to win the title again at this point.
Yeah.
But like you would never be upset to see him in the main event. I feel like that's kind of rare, right? I mean, like maybe New Japan people are like that where it's like, oh, Tanahashi in the main event, like sure, he's not gonna beat Okada, but let's see it.
Yeah. No, it is. And, like, especially, I mean, Michaels' whole story to this point is crazy. He was just in the main event. This is the follow-up to Mania 23. And Michaels was doing what you just said. He was competing for the title against Cena in the main event there. So, it is weird. I mean, his Legends run is sort of unparalleled and hard to compare to in a lot of ways. But it is odd that you'd come back and sort of be not a nostalgia act at all. Obviously, he's working 25 minutes in main events with people, but usually you wouldn't put him up against Batista, Cena, all these guys. Maybe you would to lose, but you wouldn't keep him in the main event picture over and over again. And Michael seems like he was just floating around as just a regular old top guy for a while here.
Yeah,
like he never left, right? Which is weird. Here's your other boy. Is this Alter Bridge?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I leave the audio on.
I can hear it now. I made it a
ones.
little louder so I can hear it. I just wanted to check. Once you said it was Alter Bridge, it was
It's weird. I never really think of Edge and Michaels really occupying the same space, but they clearly were in the same main event picture for like many years together.
Yeah. And I assume they must have had a singles match at some point, right?
Probably.
Not,
yeah,
maybe on like a Raw. Like I can't think of a Tower of Summer. Maybe even just a pay-per-view, but never like a touted one that I can pull from memory. But it seems crazy they wouldn't have interacted in the ring at some point one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, Edge was on and off champion for many, many years for this entire decade.
Yep. Edge looking pretty good too. Oh.
Yeah.
Orton with not voices.
Oh boy.
Do you like this old Orton theme?
Not really.
How soon did he go to voice? Like, is this Legend Killer Orton then? Like, when does he go to voices Crazy Orton?
Well, it's when he became crazy and had the voices in his head.
What made him go crazy?
I don't know. Yeah, didn't he attack Stephanie? And that was, or maybe that was like before. I don't know. Like it was like one of those things where like H came up with his own like monikers and stuff. We all kind of accepted. It was kind of like that era of Orton where it's like let's just like quick polish. Like we're gonna change the color of the car. We're just gonna put a nice polish on it. So it's like instead of like being an asshole, he's like crazy asshole.
Yeah.
And as a result, let's change his music because of the voices in his head, and then we're gonna keep this motif for like a week until he turns face again. It's like okay.
And then he kept the voices theme for 20 years.
Yeah.
Maybe not 20, but close enough. 15 probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty iconic at this point.
I mean, I will say about Orton, he looks like a million. He's looked almost exactly the same for his entire career, you know? He looks great then, he looks great now. Like, it's not my favorite worker, but you can't argue with the fitness level and the consistency. Like, he's always out there doing his thing. Just like this guy. Although, we just said mean things about Cena on the Mania episode, so...
Yeah.
And I feel a little bad about that.
What, that he wasn't swole?
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad that A, that he wasn't swole, and B, that I called out that he wasn't swole.
I mean, to be fair, he was still very swole, and he also had like ridiculous pec veins.
Yeah.
Which I don't think go like those don't just like stay if you're not active.
I know.
He
And
is
like
definitely not tan though.
and he I mean, you and I both do not watch Raw or the weekly shows by any stretch, but I'm under the impression that he came and went and it was just like, hey, it was good to see him, and he's just gone now, you know, like, so not that it wasn't his best night, and we've all probably just gonna agree, like, yeah, just tuck it away, and I bet if he comes back in the future, he will be a little more prepared, at least with a tan, and you know. He can't really do anything about the balding, though, unfortunately. That's probably here to stay.
I mean, I would have, I don't know, go to Turkey, find someone who does this, you know?
Sure. He's in movies. He's going to look weird with it. He's going to have to shave his head someday, and like Vin and Rock, and he's going to look very weird.
I feel like it wouldn't look that weird. I feel like he has long hair now, and that looks weird to me.
Yeah,
versus
that's probably true. It's probably the long hair with the bald spot, which was the strangest combo, you know?
Yeah,
because
he never really had long
military
hair before.
buzz cut, you wouldn't really notice that there was part of it that was short.
Right, or it would just be like, yeah, it'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the reasons I think we were intrigued by this, Walt, not just because some random website said it was a good match, but these four guys, you know, three of them have a very long relationship, meaning, of course, Orton, Cena, and Edge. And then Michaels is sort of a weird outlier. Like, these are like mid-2000s guys, and then Shawn Michaels, who was also a mid-2000s guy, but just isn't usually linked with these other two, except for random one-offs.
Yeah. But that being said, they're both faces, so it's like, even though they just face it off in the main event of WrestleMania, it's like, clearly it's two heels and two faces.
Yep.
So I guess it does create an interesting dynamic.
They're doing good guy chatter.
Okay, well, now it seems a little more confrontational.
Oh, no. They can't coexist. They already can't coexist? Wow.
This match is so weird, just like seeing this.
I know. It's a very, like I said, but you know, Orton and Cena face each other 8 million times, and then they've puffed up the Cena Edge thing in various years to make it seem probably more important than it ever really was. But they are, you know, these are all incredibly iconic guys. These are Orton, Cena, Orton. We've talked a lot about, you know, wrestling icons and, you know, how they translate. Oh, look at that, the good guys are fighting. But, like, Cena's the one of all these four who obviously has had breakout, you know, mass media appeal. But Michaels and Orton and Edge, I guess Edge was in Money Plane, so he sort of graduates from this. But,
and
like,
Vikings.
Yeah, and Vikings. And Shawn Michaels is in the Marine
Vikings.
7, which is also in our archives. So, I mean, he's obviously a star of stage and screen as well. But, yeah, but, like, the Orton, Cena, and, Orton, Michaels, and Edge all are those kind of guys who were just, like, super famous at wrestling, you know? And Michaels, you know, one of the most famous guys at wrestling ever. And never did a ton beyond wrestling, but in wrestling circles, he's on Mount Rushmore's.
Was that implying that not everybody would put him on the Mount
No,
Rushmore?
well, I mean, I think if you're talking about pure wrestler, I mean, you obviously would. I think you have to, right?
Yeah, because
how could you not? If you're leaving out, like, if you're, because I feel like the reason you'd put Austin and Rock and like and anyone over him, not that they're all not great in their own ways, but because they just were larger than life personalities. And as good as Michaels was, he wasn't. Larger than life is not a word I would use to describe him.
No,
he's really good at being like a guy. Like, he's distinctly a guy, but in terms of his being a human wrestler man who's not some big character, he's you know, that sort of adds to his why he's so good at what he does, because he's not some crazy gimmick. He's just some dude.
Right, he was some sexy dude for a long time.
A very sexy dude who was good as hell for years and years.
Yeah, very good at his job.
So you were not watching wrestling in 2007, is that right?
I guess
we were both in college. It wasn't a thing that I was really thinking about in college, that I should, like, watch wrestling and tell people I'm watching wrestling.
Oh, I mean, wait a minute, time out. Just because I missed a Backlash doesn't mean I wasn't watching wrestling.
Did you watch Mania 23?
I thought I did, because I remember...
Do you remember Donald Trump being there and with Bobby Lashley, his best friend?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember watching the Cena Michaels main event.
Do you remember Great Khali versus Kane? That sounds like your own personal hell.
Yeah, right. I choose to forget certain matches, and that would certainly be the top of the list. But I do remember the Royal Rumble this year, in 2007, where it was the last two people were Michaels and Taker, and then they had this like crazy 12-minute match after the
they were the final two, right?
Yes, and it was excellent.
That's so
I think
great.
they kinda
I
set
love
up
when
the
they
main
do that.
events
That's
for
one of
the
the most fun Rumble tropes.
Yeah. Well,
They never do it as well as sometimes they do it for like a minute or two. They never do it as well as Michaels and Taker did.
yeah, that was like that.
Great.
If they got the idea for Michaels Taker at Mania a few years later, the seed was probably planted at watching those two fight in that Rumble.
Yep.
Oh, we just missed a moonsault from like.
It was great. Yeah, I didn't miss it. It was amazing.
Well, I didn't comment about.
No, he went really high, and he's pretty old, and he did it crazy, and they caught him really well.
Yeah. Well, you have three soul men catching you.
It is probably the safest moonsault you're gonna do. Three young guys, but pretty wily. Like they're probably like, we know how to catch you.
Yeah. Also, Michaels definitely lost 20 pounds of muscle between like his like heyday in the 90s and then there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Probably an easy catch.
Yeah, he's not as defined as he once was, and he doesn't have the hairy chest anymore, which is fine.
Sad.
But
yeah.
that was the hairy chest. It's always fun to see a guy with a hairy chest.
I was watching wrestling recently, and my fiance was just like, does anybody in wrestling have a hairy chest? I'm like, just one person I can remember off the top of my head, and he's no longer with us.
Who are you speaking of?
Razor Ramon.
Oh, of course, yeah. And Michaels had hair for a little bit, right? I'm not making that up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but like
there's
more
a
than
beard once.
Probably just more than most, just because everyone else is so clean.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hall obviously, yeah. You're right. I can't believe I didn't think of that. The hairiest. And looks great. And like two very sexy, two guys who are machismo heavy and sexy boys. Oh.
Yeah. Oh god, what a dangerous move!
Yeah, that looks
what
like
a stupid, dangerous move.
Ugh.
You never hit anybody. If you land that move right, you will cripple your opponent.
And if you miss, you'll just break your tailbone.
Yeah.
If you miss, like you said, what you're supposed to do, if you do it right, you just take a huge pounding. It's just jumping 10 feet in the air and landing on your ass.
Yeah, I mean that's why Matt Hardy had his like spine like effectively
or even like Hogan doing the leg drop for 25 years, and then
yeah,
my boy Terry.
Yeah,
the
poor
leg drop
Terry.
looks so chill by comparison, but you land on your ass enough like that, and it's gonna be really bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're not under normal circumstances. You're not supposed to just drop dead drop right onto your bottom of your spine.
So I'm gonna guess because it's 2007 that we're in the knock on Cena and Orton is always, Cena less these days, I suppose, but that they just have the same match over and over again. And I imagine because they're both young, this is very much sort of in their wheelhouse. Maybe it'll help to be in the ring with two other guys who have a little more chops, but they definitely are not. I doubt they were reinventing the wheel in 2007 on a nightly basis.
No, could you imagine sitting through I don't know if they had 3-hour Raws back then, but could you imagine sitting through a 3-hour Raw back then?
I can't imagine ever. They really are. I've been to, we went to see Monday Night Raw live in DC like a decade ago at this point, and I can't guarantee you I've ever watched a full Raw since then. I've watched parts of Raws. I've watched probably hours of Raw, but I don't think I've ever seen a Raw from start to finish. And I think it's just because it's just you realize when you watch enough of them, hopefully, what an insane idea that is that you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Back in this day, when you look at the guys, other people on this card, the other matches, there's some good guys. It's not the worst roster you've ever seen. The Hardys are around. I guess this card pretty much sucks. MVP loses to. It looks like it says redacted here. I can't tell who this is. Some CB or his initials? I don't know. It's really blurry. I can't see, but he must be not around anymore. The aforementioned Umaga and Lashley, so Batista. So they have some guys, but Punk is coming up here, so it's not the worst roster, but it doesn't seem like must-watch TV at this point. But then there's Michaels, so that sort of. To me, that gives everything a little added gravitas, just having him out there.
Yeah, he's like Seth Rollins is now, where it's like, well, I might not care on paper, but I will be entertained if I watch him wrestle on a Monday night, and I can at least trust that that's a constant.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to watch Monday Night Raw anymore, but yeah.
Certainly not just for Seth Rollins. But I see what you mean, though. Like, there's a very steady hand there who does a lot of the same stuff, but can sometimes pull something out that surprises you.
Exactly. All right. Have we talked about Edge's puffy abs?
No, they are a little puffy, though. You're right.
They were trolling Cena's body shaming Cena when really
Edge is pretty puffy across the board. He's lacking definition, I would say.
2023 Edge, there's no puff.
I mean, this also when I see Edge or when I see anybody who looks terrible, I mean, I do wonder like, why are they not on the gas or whatever? But also, Edge at this point could have had like a straight up broken neck, for all I remember, and I can't really work out anymore because my neck is broken. So the fact that I'm wrestling is a miracle in and of itself.
Well,
but he does look bad. He looks weird.
That makes me sad hearing that, and
I could be dead wrong on the timing. I shouldn't speak with any sort of certainty. You're very right. He just is not compared to, like you said, we're 16 years later, and Edge looks like $1 trillion.
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, again, not to speculate, but who knows what, as a part-time wrestler, who knows what you're perhaps able to take that you couldn't as a full-time wrestler,
I will not speculate and such.
Look at this. What is this? Double single leg crab. Yeah, that's new. It looks harder to do for them than anything.
Yeah, they got a little awkward in the entry.
They're like bumping butts. Like, it's very weird looking. But so I assume this was a surprise to me. I was looking at the results. So at Mania 23, Michaels taps to what, the STF? Is that right? Or, it has to be, right?
In 2007?
Yeah, at Mania the month before. I assume because he loses by submission. I assume that's the STF, right?
Yeah.
That's just wild. I just don't think Michaels is a tapping out type,
Well, I mean, so as I've mentioned in previous pods, Michaels and Angle had this like crazy 5-star match out of nowhere a Mania or two before this, which was great at the time. But then when Michaels was in the main event with Cena, they more or less had the same exact match, and kind of. So you knew all the high spots, you knew all the, and part of that was also like Michael's tapping. So.
Oh, okay. So that's actually those 2 high-profile Mania matches where he tapped, but I guess you just don't see like a veteran tap. Maybe that's the part that surprises me. Like he loses, he certainly would lose, especially at this point in his career. But the idea of him tapping out seems crazy. But certainly to Cena, I would expect that was Cena's move, and so if he's gonna lose, I think he'd lose by pin, but I get it. Like you said, especially if they're following a blueprint, which is, Well,
I mean, they feel like they ended a few Manias in the 2000s on tap-out finishes. But they
the aforementioned CB won on a tap. I guess, does that Michaels tapping out again? Or was that H?
No, that was H on Mania 20.
Okay, but he tapped out. That's a big deal, too. H is also not a guy I think of as tapping out very much, so.
Which is why it was important and meaningful at the time. And then we just kept doing it, and then it became less meaningful every time we did it.
Yeah, and Batista tapped out to guys. You're right. Mania's due ending with a tap out is pretty consistent because I think of Batista tapping out to Bryan in 30.
Yeah.
So another guy who you wouldn't think would Batista certainly. I bet you can count the times Batista's tapped out on a hand. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other Cena made H-Tap a year or two before.
Okay. There you go.
At Chicago, right?
Sure. You tell me. I don't remember that, but
they all run together, but it's around the same ish era.
You're right. It is a really good. It's a good way to end Mania because the fans get all crazy and excited, and it doesn't always work better than a pinfall, but it is a way to infuse quick drama in there.
Yeah, but
I'm sure someone's tapped. What's Taker's shitty finish called?
Hell's Gate.
Yeah, H has probably tapped to that too in one of their.
Yeah, we were at that.
Did H tap in the Hell in a Cell?
Sorry, you weren't at the Atlanta WrestleMania 27.
Oh, I was almost at that Mania, right?
Yeah. Well, you missed a classic.
Yeah, classic. Oh, speaking of tapping. Uh-oh. John
I
not locking that in at all.
Yeah, this is
That looks
softest
terrible.
STF.
How does that, like, how
Is
does
this
it even...
match over?
No,
Is
I
this
don't
match
think
over?
so. Although Michaels is pretty down. It's a 20-minute match. We can't be 20 minutes in yet, can we? Orton's gonna
let's look
come
at
to
the.
life. Oh, Edge is gonna grab the ropes. If he taps now, I'm gonna tell you right now, Wrestle whatever was lying to us about this being a top Backlash match.
Right. This was a acceptable Raw match. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, here we go. We're gonna do this again. What do you think about Randy Orton at this point in 2023? He's been gone for a little while now too. So when he does come back, I was thinking when we all thought Cody was gonna win, it seemed to me like Orton would be a very logical next, feud for Cody.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Orton, of course, did. I mean, and who knows if that was the case? But I remember there was a lot of speculation that something like that might happen, and then obviously Orton's nowhere to be seen. And I wonder if that could have maybe contributed a little bit to Cody not winning.
Maybe.
Because they're like, what is Cody going to do at Backlash? We got to figure out something for Cody at Backlash.
Well, is Orton ever going to wrestle again? I mean, like, he's just been on the shelf for, like...
And it's like something
no
bad.
idea
It's like
what.
neck or back or something, right?
I think it's back, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
but
I don't
know.
He's getting up there. Like, I'm sure he'd love to go out. I don't know. He always seems like a weird, I don't want to say chill guy, but, like, he doesn't seem like
probably
he would, like,
not
be
chill.
the kind of guy who's like, I got to go out
chill.
like Taker,
You're probably not. I mean, well, it's just sad because he was like the hottest act in wrestling with RK Bro.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to like Orton. Everybody wants to like see the RKO. It's so over. So they want to like him. And then you pair him with someone that people actually could get behind. It's like, it's just too bad because like people started to give a shit about this guy again. And then like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
Or he's out.
Well.
So.
Yeah, he's definitely been in his like late career sort of surge. He's been good when paired with other people to a certain extent. Like obviously the Bray stuff didn't really work out. But the RK Bro stuff was good. Like he seems willing to be like, yeah, I'll just be in a tag team and fuck around with some people and see what happens, which is pretty good. Like he seems to understand his place on the card at this point, which is nice.
Yeah.
And throw himself into it, like.
But also too, if he's in the title match, like within the last year or so, no one was like, if he fought Roman in SummerSlam, I think with the original plan, like I think everybody would have been into that.
Yeah, and that, it would have been like an Orton, and especially with such a hot heel Reigns, like it would have been fun to see face Orton justified as being a face. Like I think it would have been fun to cheer for him for a legitimate reason, as opposed to because they tell you to. Oh, this is cool.
I think it becomes. Oh boy,
that wasn't that cool, but it was cool, and there was a cool like photo moment there at the top when they picked them all up.
It was like Michaels just took the brunt of that.
But yeah, I think and Orton Cody would have been like if that was a Backlash. Maybe you don't want to blow that at Backlash, but that would have been a meaningful follow-up feud for Cody if he had won.
Wait, is that really a thing that people are saying? Is like, oh well, because Orton wasn't around, we couldn't give Taker the title.
Total me making that up.
Okay.
That's me. WrestleSteve.com is saying that could have been a contributing factor. But I do wonder what they would do with Cody. I guess he could be facing Brock again. Like if they wanted to burn. I don't know why they're burning that right now anyway, but. Like, Backlash is so weird. Backlash can matter, and also it cannot. Like, and usually it doesn't. Like, but occasionally, this is a pretty big Backlash match. Like, I know clusterfucks are more for, like, monthly pay-per-views than the big ones, like 4-ways and such, but this is still a pretty big match. These are all big stars of 2007.
Yeah. Well, I will say these, like, endings are kind of, like, not very inspired.
No. Oh, this is fun. Oh, but then they sort of, I don't know if that was... Oh, yeah. No, this is a little cluster here.
Wow, that's nice.
This is fun. We got some iconic finishers in this match, too, which is good.
We haven't seen a super kick yet, though, have we?
No, we have not. We haven't seen a spear either.
Oh, spear, yeah.
Is that little DDT thing, is that a big Edge move?
Yeah, the Impaler, right?
Is that what it's called? I thought it might have a name. I wasn't sure, but I was...
Also, they called the Cena's move the FU.
Oh, they called the FU at this point.
Yeah.
That's stupid. I mean, I guess he was still transitioning out of like rap Cena, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like I'm sure he was well past being rap Cena,
Oh,
but he
God.
still had remnants of all that. Oh, here we go, spear.
We're telegraphing this Miss Spear into.
Yeah, really. This is the worst idea
Not
for
that
a
I'm-
spear. Oh. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Oh, not the best spear, but that was fun.
Never really did the best Spear though.
No, not particularly. Oh, there it is. Oh, wow.
Oh, what a shitty finish.
The only reason I
was a
like it is because
backlash finish.
that was a fun, like, if you're gonna, like, these matches always devolve, I feel like, into, like, someone lying outside the ring or two guys lying outside the ring. It was fun to have an ending where they all actually were involved in it, you know?
Yeah, true, I guess.
So at least, like, this had, you can make it say they were all in the ring doing their thing for, like, 2 or 3 minutes at the end there. I kind of like that. But it is not the best win for John Cena. Like, your champ got kicked in the face and fell on the other guy. It's not like he looks strong as heck, but...
Oh, there's a bunch of, like, blood around Orton's crotch. I'm not sure.
Oh,
what
yeah, there sure is. Weird. Hope his lower body is okay.
Oh,
Let's
is it-
fast forward to this SummerSlam wall and see what happened, what they did. Let's look at the next pay-per-view. At Judgment Day, it looks like Kane was involved. Oh,
Yeah.
God, the next... So, Cena, with not the best win of his career here, just sort of lucks into a title to a nice little retaining here. Next pay-per-view, he defeats the Great Khali in 8 minutes. Wow. Welp, that's a thing.
I'm glad that we didn't have to cover that one.
No, that would have been terrible. I want to see what they built towards in SummerSlam-wise, too. Let's see what they're...
Yeah,
what
I'm
was
trying to
next
think.
up. There's a lot of... This is in the era of just, like... ECW was a thing. Like, there's just pay-per-view after pay-per-view.
Yeah, nothing really quite makes sense.
God,
Trying
this
to
is
remember.
just- I'm clicking through all this crap. All right, here we go. SummerSlam 2007. Oh, H looks like he came back at some point. And John Cena beat Randy Orton. And
What, at
Batista beat
SummerSlam?
Great... Was that... Yeah, SummerSlam.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, 21 minutes.
that's a
Cena
unique-
Orton.
It's a unique sentence no one's ever uttered.
And Batista beat Great Khali. So Khali has 2 world title shots this year. Well, Khali was the champ at this point. Batista beat him by DQ. Oh, my God. This is terrible.
Wait, he was a champ?
Great Khali was the world heavyweight champion at SummerSlam 2007. Unclear
Sorry.
how he did that. I don't know if I want to do the research to figure
Yeah.
out how that happens.
We'll see her for the Great Khali buck or Batista to
We should just do a
biography.
Great Khali episode. Where we should do a Great... I mean, he doesn't have a match long enough for a watch along, but we should talk more about Khali at some point.
We just stitch together all of his matches in a row.
There must be a
Great-
compilation on YouTube or something we could do,
Maybe a
right?
cool 10 minutes here.
Michaels is mad. See, this is weird too because this is the second Michaels Cena match in a row at a pay-per-view, and Michaels basically should have won that match, kind of, sorta. And then now at the next pay-per-view, there's Michaels and Cena do not interact. Cena faces Khali, and Michaels faces Randy Orton, and loses by TKO, whatever that means.
Is that not the RKO? Is that
It
a
just
typo?
says technical knockout. I don't know why that is a thing. We'll have to watch Judgment Day 2007 to find out.
Well, I look forward to that watch along. I don't even know if we do Judgment Days anymore, but
I don't know. Yeah, I think this was really well. I think this could have been a super fuck up in terms of everyone getting involved, and I think it all was well choreographed. Maybe it was a little manufactured, but I think, the fact that it looked as good as it did, I think is very impressive.
let's just call it like a semi-sweet treat.
Let's call it like a nice in-your-house main, too, Like for an
let's
April
call this an
main, this might be the best you're going to get for an April main.
God,
I think
what a
I think it's better.
low
Look at
bar.
Michaels' sad face. Oh my God, he looks. I can't believe this is the end of their feud. They must have been resolved on Raw at some point, but this really feels. This feels like it was the pay-per-view before Mania.
I feel like this is just teasing like the old man Michaels just doesn't have enough in the tank to get it.
Oh, that could be true. He does lose because he loses to Orton next pay-per-view, so maybe that's where they were going with this.
Yeah.
Like Michaels is just like, shit. What am I out of gas? Which I don't. It doesn't look like they went anywhere with that either. But
Then they just came back and then they just did DX again, and now
it does seem like what ultimately happened.
yeah, cool. Let's just run it back.
Well, I don't know. I think that was more fun than doing Orton Foley.
I would hope so. I mean, I'd have to watch it and then.
Yeah, we can if we want to quietly go watch Orton Foley and talk about it at some point in hushed tones. We can do that, but
yeah, nah. Save it for next year's Backlash.
Yeah, that's true.
Watch alone.
In 2024, we're gonna need a Backlash in April. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see Michaels definitely. Talking about our guy, we didn't even talk about that much. He looked great there too. Like he looks as good as anybody else. Like these guys are 15 years younger than he is, and you really wouldn't notice at all. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Not the surprise. Like I know he's the best of the best, but it's still cool to see that he holds his own. That was like that was a pretty easy match, all things considered. You lay around for 7 minutes and you work for 12. So
he put his working boots on. He was the recipient of a double single leg crab.
That's true.
You're talking about Michaels, right?
Yeah, Michaels. Yeah, and he fell off. He got the FU from the top and fell really far. So
very hard on his chest. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty good. That was fine. Backlash 2007 could have been worse. I think that's when we watch one of these matches we've never seen before and it's decent. I feel like that is usually a good takeaway. It's like, well, that could have been worse.
Yeah, semi-sweet morsel treat.
Yep, that's right. And
that is a thing, right? In desserts.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, I'm realizing now that this year's Backlash isn't until May, so that's kind of effed up on their part for maybe two more. I was gonna say like, oh man, this is perfect. It's coming out right before Backlash, and no, it's not. It's coming out. Backlash in a few weeks, but.
Yeah, well, whatever is the next thing after Mania is usually the Backlash.
Yes.
Sentiment.
And they gave it a little time to fester here. And what do you think about this Backlash card, real quick, 2023? Now that we're talking about modern wrestling a little more, do you think it's going to be? Are you actually going to? I mean, will you sit down and watch Backlash this year on Peacock?
I would watch some of it after the fact, or I'd wait for someone to tell me which matches to watch, because a lot of it is going to be hot garbage. But I will say though that they'll probably do a fun 6-man.
Yep.
With Bad Bunny.
Kind of weird that that match. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say the Owens.
Oh, and I was gonna say and the Owens.
It's weird that Riddle's involved in that now, but whatever. I mean, people like you said, people like Riddle, so
just skyrocketed him right to the top.
Yeah.
Let's pretend like he never left.
Yeah. And then Cody Lesnar. I mean, usually Lesnar gets his working boots on when he's in there with a little guy or a worker of his own. I don't know if Cody qualifies there, so I'm intrigued to see how Brock looks at him, because I feel like a lot of it is sort of like what Brock thinks about his opponent, how he feels about his style.
That's true, but then again, I imagine like if he didn't want to work with Cody, or if the stop, like if it was a Dean Ambrose situation,
yes.
like
they wouldn't be doing it. They wouldn't be going down this road.
At this point, Lesnar would be like, no fucking way, no thanks.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case with Cody. I feel like people respect Cody.
Yeah, and like Brock, for all the shit we do give him, like in his defense, like he just worked with Omos on Mania and had like a normal match that you'd expect with anybody. So like he had the big guy match that he has every now and then, and it was decent for that match. It was not bad.
It was what it was.
He didn't sandbag him. He didn't make him look like a piece of shit.
Yeah, he made him look better than Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, that's true. Not hard to do from when you're talking Brock matches. That was the worst thing ever, but
yeah. Oh.
Yeah. We'll see. We will
so
see.
That's Backlash.
Yeah, that's Backlash.
Just in a nutshell, just generally speaking.
It's the post-Mania doldrums. Even when they're kind of good, they're still kind of bad. But you can watch if you wanted to watch along. We hope you had a good time. If you want more awesome truth, you want to hear us talk about the recently departed Mania season, you can find that in our archives at awesometruth.libsyn.com. If you want new episodes, you can follow us everywhere podcasts are. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere podcasts are delivered, we are there. And you can follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at awesometruthpod. Well, we did it. We watched Backlash, and it was fine.
Yep.
Like you said, a semi-sweet treat. One of those cooking chocolates that you shouldn't eat on its own.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I think that's a fine assessment of what we just watched.
And again, for a Backlash, that's not too bad. So
it sound like a complete apathetic, ambivalent asshole.
That's it. That's how you got to be in April. That's how Aprils usually go in wrestling. So
It's a long way till SummerSlam, so
sure is, but we'll be with you every step of the way. Thank you all so much for listening, and remember, the truth will set you free.